First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in WagerBucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.
Welcome to Wager Talk Today. Lawrence Presman here. Teddy Covers, my cohort in crime. Top of the morning to you, Teddy. What's going on at 9 a.m. in Las Vegas?
It is bright and early every morning, but I mean, it's not. I'm usually at my desk by 7, pretty much 7 days a week. Every once in a while, I'll sleep in a little bit. I'm not one of these lazy guys like you that gets up, about 5 minutes before we go on air, Prez? And of course, you're on East Coast time.
15 minutes before I go on air, and I earned my laziness. You want to know how to be lazy at 51 years old? Don't be lazy at 30.
Fair enough.
What's going on today? Rob Vino joining us. Excited to have him. We're going to take apart the Cleveland-Dallas game. Auburn versus Georgia, big college football game indeed. And the White Sox-Oakland game. We got Arthur DeCesar with us, our bookmaker, and of course, Ralph Michaels joining us at the end of the show. And guys, don't forget 4 p.m. Eastern today, the NFL presidential address. Teddy, Rob Vino, let's get him in. Let's get going. Well, okay, we're Teddy, to give you some background, Mark Lawrence is always on our Wednesday show. He had a little issue with his show prior. He couldn't make it. We swapped the hair for the hair. I mean, who else should be taking place of Mark Lawrence than the great Rob Vino? Robert, how are you? What's going on? Cleveland versus Dallas. I am
you were going
to
continue to say things.
That's okay, dude. We love technical. We don't mind the issues. We'll just stare at you all day. What's going on with you, dude?
Things are good, Prez. Wednesday, busy time of the week here, hump day when we're concerned. A lot of stuff floating around out there amongst all 4 sports, so you got to keep on top of it. But we're ready to roll here today. Substitute in for Mark Lawrence, no problem there.
Okay, well, let's go, man. 83 guys watching, 15 likes. Hit that button for us, people. Mark, Cleveland playing Dallas. Interesting game. Cleveland plus 4.5. The total here is, well, they all are, 55.5. I mean, 2-1 Cleveland. And I think Dallas is going to be a tough out moving forward for a little while. How do you take apart this game?
Well, I look at the Dallas injury situation, guys, and obviously there's injury situations, multiple injuries for teams across the NFL. But this one in particular, where Dallas, the areas where they're banged up are areas where Cleveland has strengths. So I like the Cleveland side in this game, plus the 4.5. We'll start with Dallas and that secondary, which has lost both of their top 2 cornerbacks to the injured list. Both, that was on full display against Russell Wilson in Seattle on Sunday. So you're without your top 2 corners, and then you're without.
Whoa. Looks like he's froze.
Yeah, guys.
Teddy, it's all good.
What's going on here, fellas?
What do you like in this game? Have you taken it apart yet? I really haven't gone deep. I'm going to be doing a little studying after the show.
Well, we got Rob back now, I think. He just had a momentary freeze. Is that right, Rob? No, he's all froze up. He's got to refresh his page. So
Crazy.
We'll give him just a minute. So
there he is.
Wait. Oh, there you go.
There's Rob Vino.
Yeah, well, we'll get him back in just a minute. What intrigues me about this game, and it legitimately intrigues me, I don't know if you saw the article on ESPN talking about why scoring is so up in the NFL this season. And the answer is very simple. It's a moral equivalent of a juiced ball in MLB. But in the NFL, when you want to juice the ball, when you're competing against college football and the NBA and MLB and the likes, and you want to have high-scoring games, you don't instruct the refs not to call anything, but you let it be known that this year maybe fewer holding penalties, maybe more pass interference penalties. And that's been the case in the NFL through the first 3 weeks. When you look at holding penalties, they're way down from where they were last year and in recent seasons. When you look at pass interference penalties, they're up compared to last year and in recent seasons. And you put those two factors together, real simple. Fewer holds, more PIs, you end up with more scoring. It's plain and simple. You end up with the high-scoring shootouts that fans seem to like. Do you think that applies to this game, Rob?
Nice.
I don't know
segue,
exactly
Teddy.
everything that you were saying. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah, we can hear you
sir.
fine. That's not doing us any good. Vino having difficulties this
Okay,
morning.
Teddy, I want to add to your thought because, Friday we got Randall the Handle joining us instead of Kenny White, a good friend of yours and mine. Me and him were talking about this, and I think a huge factor to the high scoring is the lack of crowd. I think the offense can hear the audibles. You saw what Aaron Rodgers was able to do with his snap count. I think the silence, especially for the veteran quarterbacks, is really important. And I think we're seeing that. If you watch how many, offside penalties there are and encroachment penalties there are, I think that's a factor as well. But I think your point is really good. But I mean, I don't know. Like, do you think I always have a tough time believing that, we want the Lakers versus the Celtics in the finals. Hey, refs, just a FYI, we want the Lakers and the Celtics. I always have trouble believing that stuff, Teddy.
So, I mean, when it comes to people ask me, oh, that's fixed. This is fixed. It's like, no. In 2020, not even in 2020, when I came out here in 98, it wasn't possible.
Right.
When you're talking about athletes and the amount of money they make, refs and the amount of money they make, it doesn't make sense. You can't buy anybody off. In college, it's a different story. You're not buying anyone off at the pro level. Okay, it's just not happening. That said, when there's pressure from the league, and I don't mean pressure, but when you go to the off-season meetings and they say, yeah, well, we want to help scoring. We want a little bit more scoring this year. It's just like when you work in any other company. You get a sense of the corporate culture. You get a sense of what you need to do to get ahead. And even though there aren't any written rules, the unwritten rules are very real. And this year, the unwritten rules are favoring offense in the NFL when it comes to the calls.
I have trouble to buy that the refs are doing anything different. I mean, listen, if they want more scoring, just put the wide receivers in motion like the Canadian Football League. Rob Vino, are you with us? Okay. Teddy, do you know that rule I'm talking about with wide receivers in motion?
But this is the whole point, is that this is a way to juice the ball without changing any rules.
Right.
The NFL is not going to change the Canadian Football League rules. This is the NFL scoring being up without a single rule being changed. So the NFL goes, we don't know. It's just, and obviously this week we've certainly seen the markets catch up. Totals in the 50s all over the place in the NFL. Half the games are totaled at 50 plus this week. So we've certainly seen the adjustment in the markets. And as we saw in Monday Night Football, even a high-scoring game, when you get totals in the 50s in the NFL, you can get screwed by betting overs because there just aren't enough possessions, and all it takes is one long drive with no points or one missed extra point or whatever, and all of a sudden your over is in jeopardy. But no question, and it's, when you throw in the injuries that we've seen amongst various secondaries in the NFL this year, as Rob Vino was just talking about with the Cowboys, I mean, Dallas has a very banged-up secondary, and that was clearly a problem last week, and it might be a problem this week against Odell Beckham Jr. and company.
Yeah, so you like Cleveland in this spot, plus 4.5?
I could only look. I'm not laying more than a field goal in the NFL with a bad defense, and Dallas does not have a good defense right now. Okay. So if you're looking at which favorites is Teddy going to be on, the teams with the bad defenses that are laying more than a field goal, it's a one-way game. I could only take Cleveland this game. Okay. It's not a one of these situations where it's kind of or maybe or the thought process is this. It's Browns or pass. So it's a one-way game in that sense for me.
He's Teddy Covers. I'm the Prez. You're watching Wager Talk today. Do we have a Rob Vino sighting? Okay. Teddy, it was $2 Tuesdays over at Wager Talk yesterday. Outstanding day of sales. A big shout out to everybody who bought. I also want to say hello to Vivian Presman for logging in, and Davy Jones, Ray, Nate, Krypton, Max Madison. I haven't seen your name. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. Same with you, Sebastian, and on and on and on. We really love having you guys. Rob Vino, Teddy and I were just talking about the Cleveland-Dallas game, and Teddy's answer is he's not going to take, -4, -6, -9 with teams with bad defenses. He's looking at it at Cleveland or nothing. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with him. I like Cleveland in this spot. Like I said, guys, just to reiterate what I was trying to say before, that, the injury situation for Dallas happens to, both areas where they're most banged up happens to play into strengths of Cleveland. The Dallas secondary is beat up. Both cornerbacks are on injured reserve. Leighton Vander Esch is out of the linebacking core on injured reserve. And Cleveland can attack you downfield or through the middle. So many weapons in that receiving game, receivers, tight ends, backs out of the backfield. It's a good matchup for Cleveland. But the next best matchup for Cleveland is the fact that Dallas's offensive line is so banged up at this point in time. We saw guys coming off the field against Seattle, reshuffling taking place during the game. Tyron Smith, Cam Irving, both questionable for this week as we speak midweek here. And Cleveland's pass rush has come alive a little bit with Myles Garrett and company. So I think that's another area where Dallas is hurt and Cleveland is good, and they can attack there. Cleveland has a better defensive unit than what Seattle put on the field against Dak Prescott last week, right? Seattle was more banged up than Dallas was. Cleveland's pretty healthy for the most part. It's got a couple of question marks here, but they should be in good shape. It's a big game for the Browns, right? They beat a couple of inferior opponents heading in, but this is one must-win for Baker Mayfield. I think they show up. I think +4.5 is too much. Even if Dallas wins, I think it's no more than a field goal game. I'll take the 4.5 with Cleveland in this instance.
We've got just a few minutes left with Rob Vino. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties earlier, but I want to squeeze in both remaining games you want to talk about, Rob. Well, let's start in college football. Auburn and Georgia, two teams that, let's say, went through some off-season significant departures, and two teams that look to be works in progress on the opposite side of the football in their debuts. The Tigers travel to Georgia, playing between the hedges this weekend. Right now, Georgia about a 6.5-point favorite, total 44.5, 45. What's your take on the Tigers and the Bulldogs in the SEC?
Yeah, Teddy, the defenses for both teams were not the problem, right? I mean, for Auburn, they give up an opening touchdown drive to Kentucky, and then 9 of the next 10 Kentucky possessions result in 0 points. So Auburn defensively, despite the losses across the defensive front, despite the losses in the secondary, stood up very, very well against a really good team. Georgia against Vanderbilt, they're supposed to stand up against a true freshman quarterback. They did. But as you mentioned, both of the problems for these teams are on the offensive side. How about Auburn in that game against Kentucky? They had 3 drives the entire game where they totaled 34 yards or 35 yards or more, 3 times only during that game. So that's a red flag for Bo Nix, for that offensive line. You're playing Kentucky, and that's a good defense. I get it. But it's not Georgia's defense, so I don't expect things to get any better on the road here for Auburn's offense. The Georgia situation just a little bit different. You know, they get a quarterback in his first start in a new offense. I think the playbook was held back. Dwan Mathis didn't fare well. Stetson Bennett steps in. He plays pretty well. But JT Daniels is the quarterback here, and he's the guy to execute the air raid offense, right? He came from air raid at USC, where they played it his last couple of years there. If the playbook's going to open up, I think it would be this week with him at QB. I think Georgia's a little more explosive on the outside with George Pickens and company. They have more opportunity to make big plays. It's not a favorite game of mine by any means, and nothing that I'd rush to the window with a pile of money to bet on. But I do think Georgia minus the 6.5 is probably the right side in this game, in what should be, a low-scoring defensive fest.
Rob, I can't thank you enough for coming on with us today. Basically 5 minutes notice. You're outstanding. 3 p.m. Eastern game, White Sox versus Oakland. Elimination day already for a bunch of teams. Oakland, a small favorite, minus 127.5 on board. Where are you going in this one?
Well, I have a series play with the White Sox, guys, so I'll be rooting for the White Sox here to end it in 2 games. For me, just an interesting note, Oakland may have been a byproduct of their schedule this year, playing in that AL West where there wasn't a single team that finished with a 500 record. Chris Bassett is a real testament to that. Chris Bassett made 11 starts this season, and his numbers are really good. But none of those 11 starts were against anybody who finished over 500. And if you contrast that to the schedule that the White Sox played and the fact that Dallas Keuchel threw 11 games, 7 of which were against playoff teams, I think you might have a little bit of strength of schedule difference between those two in that area. Both guys closed September very, very strong. Bassett was 3-0 with a low ERA. Keuchel had a 0.45 ERA in September after he came back off of the back injury. Daytime in Oakland, the ball travels, and the White Sox just have Grand Canyon-type power. So I like their offense here. It's not against the lefty. We know about that huge trend when they face left-handed pitchers, but still, I think they have the edge here offensively. And another reason for that, guys, is that Matt Chapman injury in early September just, in my estimation, in a playoff series, cripples the Oakland lineup. Matt Chapman's so important to that team. It's a team that only hits 220 against left-handers. Keuchel's much different than what they saw in Lucas Giolito yesterday, a guy that picks apart the strike zone with precision. Like I said, I've got the White Sox in the series. I think they have a good shot to win today and close it out. So I'd be looking at the Chicago White Sox as a dog in this game too.
Thanks so much, dude. That's brilliant stuff. I really appreciate you joining us today, Rob. Mark Lawrence will swap with you. We'll have him on Friday, and then you're back every Friday from there on. Let's take a quick break. We're right back with Arthur DeCesar. Where's all the money going? And Ralph Michaels with some trends and angles.
Football is here, and the Gold Sheet, the nation's oldest sports betting newsletter, is back for its 63rd year. Bigger and better than ever. Gold Sheet has a new, improved web-based, mobile-friendly format that includes all of the winning information you rely on with the easiest access ever. While the format is new, all of the features you are accustomed to are still there. That's right, analysis on every pro and college game, key release selections, updated power ratings on every team, point spread logs for all NFL and college teams, and all college football games through May 2021 will be included. To celebrate joining the WagerTalk family, we are offering our subscribers our best deal ever. Sign up for a season of any Gold Sheet product and get $200 in WagerBucks as a bonus. WagerBucks can be used to purchase handicapping information from any of our 40-plus experts on WagerTalk or sportsmemo.com. Head to goldsheet.com/WagerTalk for any subscription and bonus details.
Welcome back to Wager Talk Today here on a Wednesday, the last Wednesday in September. And this is your Sports Central for Gamblers. We'll have Arthur DeCesar from the Caesars family of books, one of the race and sports supervisor over the link right on the strip here in Las Vegas. He'll be joining us in just a few minutes. First, we got to do some bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. And last night, there wasn't that much action, and there wasn't really anything that stood out as a bad beat. Maybe there was a bad bet if you bet the Yankees under, if you bet the Indians in that game. There were a couple of bad bets out there. And there was a fair bit of money on the Minnesota Twins as favorites, although the wise guys bought back with Houston right before the first pitch of that one. So there wasn't much for bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. What we do have is look-ahead lines. And I know everyone, not everyone, lots of people seem to be interested in the look-ahead lines. Week 4 has not yet been played in the NFL, but I thought I'd run through the Week 5 look-aheads so we can see how much the markets are going to adjust based just on what happens this weekend. So these are lines for next week's games. I'm going to run through them real quick. Tampa, -3 at Chicago. That's the Thursday night game next week. That'll be better than Jets-Broncos this week. Although, who knows? That might be an entertaining game. For Sunday, October 11th, look-ahead lines. Falcons, -3.5 at home versus the Panthers. Lots of big spreads here. Chiefs, -11.5 at home against the Raiders. Patriots, -10 at home against the Broncos. Rams, -9.5 on the road at the Washington football team. Texans, -6.5 at home against the Jaguars. No line, Bills, Titans. We don't know what's going to happen with Tennessee yet. Arizona, -8.5 on the road at the New York football Jets. The Steelers, -7 at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. That line has to go up. Baltimore, -13 at home against Cincinnati. San Fran, -8.5 at home against Miami. Dallas, -11 at home against the Giants. And again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spreads already that we're talking about of a touchdown or higher. The Colts, -2.5 on the road at Cleveland. The Sunday night game, Seattle, -9 at home against Minnesota. There's a big point spread. In the Monday night game, the Saints, -7.5 at home against the Chargers. Those are the look-ahead lines for next week's NFL, something to keep in mind as you watch this week's NFL.
Oh, I tell you, man, I heard some bets in there, Teddy. Houston -6.5 versus Jacksonville jumped out at me, but we got time to worry about that. Really quick, Teddy, Arthur DeCesar coming up in 2 minutes, as you said, Ralph Michaels. After that, I want to welcome everybody, especially the new guys. Thank you for joining us. And Teddy, last week we teased some news. So what I'm going to tell everybody is tomorrow, Thursday, at 1 p.m. Eastern, everybody please stay around. Teddy, Ralph, and I are going to be doing a 15, 20-minute after Wager Talk Today show, which we're very excited about. So everyone make sure to stay around. We will fill you in tomorrow on what is going to happen, but it is a totally interactive 15 to 20 minutes. So guys, make sure to put that in your calendar. Also, First Pitch is back today. NBA show, 4 p.m. Eastern is the NFL presidential address with me, Ralph, and Matt. But right now, right here, Arthur DeCesar, did I say your name right?
You certainly did, Prez. I appreciate it.
Bam! Teddy, my job is done.
Yeah, you're quite caffeinated this morning, Prez, and we appreciate that. Out here on the left coast, it's still a little bit earlier. Yeah, exactly. So we try to tone it down a notch. Arthur, great to see you today. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Let's talk a little MLB playoff baseball to start. At the books yesterday, at the Link Race Sportsbook, at the Caesars Properties, what are you seeing in terms of MLB playoff action? Is it an afterthought with NBA and NFL and college football on center stage? Or is the playoff handle exactly what you would have hoped for?
No, Teddy, it's been surprising. People have wanted to bet these games. I think ever since we came back from this pandemic, people have been excited to bet anything sports. But, having baseball playoffs back was amazing. You had 4 games yesterday. Today, though, is going to be the best. I mean, today is MLB NCAA tournament style. So, it goes all day. And, yeah, people are, they're ready to bet. It's in the middle of the week. You don't have football yet. So people are going to be betting these games. And I think we're going to see a bigger handle on these baseball games because there's more of them than we have had in the past.
Does anything stand out in terms of the betting action for today in MLB? Obviously, with 8 playoff games, including 4 potential elimination games, there's a fair bit of interest. Have you seen sharp money or public money come in on any of these sides or totals that's worthy of note?
Yeah, Teddy, I would say the couple that have stood out to me is the Reds have received a lot of money, the Marlins have received a lot of money, and then to me, the Dodgers have received a lot of money, but that to me is always public money. They're such a big favorite. And, we have always the LA influence, the California influence. People love to bet the Dodgers. But, you said it correctly, man. 4 playoff games today are now elimination games. This isn't a best of 5. This is a best of 3. So these game 2s get ratcheted up. So it's going to be really interesting and fun to watch.
Sure. I'm looking forward to it. And tomorrow as well. Should be a lot of fun in MLB. When you compare the baseball handle with what we saw, what we've been seeing, let's say, for college football or the NFL, it's really not that close. This is what fascinated me. This morning, we got news that New Jersey blew away Nevada, 33% more handle in Jersey than Nevada last month. Is that what we're going to see moving forward? Is Nevada no longer the sports betting capital of the United States? And what are you seeing at the link when it comes to handle? Are you seeing the type of action that you would expect to see? Is it bigger than you thought it was going to be? What's your take?
Yeah, Teddy, that's an interesting question. I see all these articles and I see all these numbers. Listen, I think something like Jersey, all these states that have kind of, jumped into sports betting in the last, year or two, they're fresh, they're new. So people, in the surrounding states, they want to go. Hey, we can go to this state now. It's across state lines. Obviously, Jersey has the New York influence, but to me, Vegas is still Vegas. Vegas is always going to set the tone for the sports betting market and the sports betting world. But honestly, people are in the link. People are betting. We have lines. To me, I've said this to you from the beginning. I don't want to say it's business as usual, but it really kind of feels like nothing has changed. So, for me in my little small part of the world, nothing has changed.
Yeah, Arthur, I look at what Teddy just said with New Jersey, and I've got to believe that COVID is a huge factor here. I mean, they're sitting on top of New York, a state with just a ton of people, a quick drive to make bets, and Vegas is just missing out on all the tourism right now. So I'm with you. I don't think Vegas is losing their betting luster, if you will. I think it'd be more interesting to see, in a year from now, what is going to transpire. But with all the conventions being canceled in Vegas and whatnot, that has to be taken into account.
Yeah, Prez, absolutely. I mean, this town is run on conventions. We just don't have conventions right now. I mean, Caesars just built a huge forum for conventions. They haven't had a chance to use it. So, and even small things like, the rodeo getting moved from here. I mean, these are, events where we're going to have so many people who are in town and, they're staying at the casinos and they're around town and, hey, let's put a bet here, a bet there. So I agree. I think that has really affected us, but I think, like you said, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, I think we'll get back to being Vegas because once again, we're still Vegas.
Arthur, I got to tell you something quick off topic. I'm a Toronto guy, big city, 7-8 million people, no rodeos, no cowboy hats, no spurs on boots. I go down to Vegas and I went down and there was a rodeo convention in town. Nobody told me. I'm sitting at the poker table and it's the same guy in the same outfit over and over and over again for like hours after hours, the same hat. Every one of them, their jeans were so tight, I could tell, oh, you're a guy who likes your balls split. Oh, you're a left-hanging guy. You're a right-hanging guy. It was the strangest thing I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, is it a thing in America to show the ladies where your balls sit in your jeans?
Oh, Prez, I can't answer that question. I'm a city East Coast kid, so to me, rodeos are foreign as well. But having been in Vegas 8 years, I've embraced it because of all the people that come in town. But to answer that question, I don't know. You might have to wait for the WagerTalk After Hours show tomorrow for that one.
So it's definitely worth noting. All right, when it comes to rodeo time, and there's the rodeo is the last week of November, after Thanksgiving, the first weekend in early December, might be the best time of the year for playing poker in Vegas.
Yes.
The tables are
Yes.
live when the rodeo players are in town. But the fact that the rodeo players aren't coming in. I was at the airport last week, and again, it's not a ghost town, but it's not a busy airport. How busy are you guys down on the Strip, Arthur? Is it decently busy? Is it enough to warrant as many hotels and casinos that are open right now, or is business hurting in Las Vegas right now because it's mostly drive-in business from California and Utah and Arizona?
Yeah, you know, Teddy, as far as that goes, I'll say this. I have noticed, during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's slow. Once again, not a ghost town, but it's just the casinos are quiet. It's just, it doesn't feel like a Vegas casino. It almost feels like an off the strip casino, maybe more of like a locals casino, obviously with us being on the strip. But, once Thursday, Friday starts rolling, people are starting to check in. You got lines for the check-in. And then Saturday and Sunday, once again, being in the sports book, you got all the games. So it's definitely busy on the weekends. I would say during the week, definitely a little bit slower.
We've got a few minutes left here with Arthur DeCesar, Racing Sports Supervisor over at the Link Sportsbook on the Strip here in Las Vegas, one of the Caesars properties here in town. Arthur, I always appreciate having you on the show because you can give us some insight what's going on the other side of the counter. So tell us, this weekend's football. Let's go through Saturday and Sunday real quick. We'll start Saturday college football. What are you seeing in terms of sharp action / square action? What are the big movers in college football over the Link so far this week?
Teddy, as far as the two college games that have stood out to me, I would say LSU first. LSU, the number really hasn't moved, but I've seen a lot of people just come in and bet LSU thinking, okay, Vandy's terrible. LSU will bounce back. They had Mississippi State played well. So, you can't fault LSU there. But I'd say LSU. And then I would say Texas. People have literally faded Texas a little bit. They've said, wow, look at that performance. They probably should have lost the game. They gave up 1 million points. TCU is usually a pretty well-coached team, with Gary Patterson. So they're getting a bunch of points. That line's basically moved 2 points. I think it's Texas minus 11.5 now. So those are the first couple I've seen that have jumped out at me. Nothing so far, I would say, on the big game, which is obviously Auburn and Georgia. And as far as the NFL goes, I would say the one on Sunday that has jumped out is the Sunday night game. Eagles are been getting no love, even with all the 49er injuries. The 49ers have moved from 6 to 7, so people are fading the Eagles. And then the Thursday night game with the quarterback switch, the Jets were basically getting 2.5, 3, and now they're a pick 'em.
So when you're talking about heavy money on the Jets, I know that's not public money. When you're talking about the Niners on Sunday night, is that public money or is that wise guys coming in and saying, let's fade this Eagles team that's basically worse than the Washington football team and equal to Cincinnati at home? Is that sharp money or is that more recreational players?
Yeah, as far as the Jets go, Teddy, I would totally agree. I think that is definitely sharp money. I think people just look at it like, hey, the Jets home team getting 3 points. We're going to take those 3 points. And then once the quarterback, gets named and it's Brett Rippon, most people are going, who? So, listen, it's hard to put money on the Jets, but, I can understand it to a degree. I think as far as the Niners go, I do think it's just, once again, we're California influence, a lot of Niner money. So I think that's probably more public money. I could see, now with it being 7, maybe the sharps start jumping on the Eagles. So, yeah, I would say Niners is public. I would say Jets is sharp.
Excellent information, week in, week out from Arthur DeCesar at ArtDice21 on Twitter. Art, anything you want to promote for yourself? Come on, man. Here's your chance. Shine, baby, shine.
No, Teddy, I appreciate it. Listen, guys, as always, it's a real pleasure to come on with you guys. I really enjoyed doing this. Listen, guys, the Link, just come down. The Link is a great place to watch the games. We have 12 fan caves, a beautiful setup. It's a brand new sports book. So, Saturdays and Sundays are rocking and rolling. So just come down and say hi and, come down and enjoy the beautiful atmosphere down at the Link.
Arthur, it would be a great plan. Set aside an area in the Link just called WagerTalk Today, listeners only. Couple of chairs permanently reserved. Even if nobody shows up, just the sign on the chair would be really Really appreciate it. And I promise you, Teddy will come. Why not, Teddy? Why don't you do a signing at the link this Sunday?
If I had a book
You'll
or
pay.
something, I never wrote it. I
You'll
was
pay
supposed to write a book.
everybody. You'll pay
There was
everybody
one-
$5 to stand in line.
Yeah, I'm not. No, it's not a $5 deal you'll do. Not ever. But there was one summer, like 07 or 08 or something, I was supposed to write up. I was like, all right, this summer I'm going to write my book. Never happened, so I don't have anything to sign. You know. Maybe
Well,
I'll
Art,
put you guys on
I
the article.
assure you, when I come down to Vegas, when COVID is over and I'm allowed to leave my house, I will be there. I will let everyone know in the link. It'll be rodeo outfit mandatory. Brother, thanks for joining us, man. We love having you. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate you taking. Every Wednesday, you're on with us. You never have anything to promote, which means you're just doing this because you love Teddy. It's so great to have you, man.
I appreciate you, gentlemen, and we will talk next week. Enjoy the day.
Quick
Thanks,
commercial
Arthur.
break, everybody. We're right back with Teddy's big game breakdown and Ralph Michaels TNA.
Football is here, and the Gold Sheet, the nation's oldest sports betting newsletter, is back for its 63rd year, bigger and better than ever. Gold Sheet has a new, improved web-based, mobile-friendly format that includes all of the winning information you rely on with the easiest access ever. While the format is new, all of the features you are accustomed to are still there. That's right, analysis on every pro and college game, key release selections, updated power ratings on every team, point spread logs for all NFL and college teams, and all college football games through May 2021 will be included. To celebrate joining the WagerTalk family, we are offering our subscribers our best deal ever. Sign up for a season of any Gold Sheet product and get $200 in WagerBucks as a bonus. WagerBucks can be used to purchase handicapping information from any of our 40+ experts on WagerTalk or sportsmemo.com. Head to goldsheet.com/WagerTalk for any subscription and bonus details.
Let's go!
Sports betting information. This is Sports Central for gamblers. And I encourage you, please make this a part of your daily routine. If you like the show, please tell your friends about it. We're really trying to build something here, and there's so much crappy information out there. A good show can take off. I think this is a good show. Well, we love your feedback. We love your participation. And thank you for being part of it. Please help us grow the show with you. Let's talk NBA Finals. Game 1 tonight. The LA Lakers -4.5, total 217.5 against the Miami Heat. And let's start with this. There's one team in the postseason still standing that has not been priced right since the start of the playoffs. And that, of course, is the Miami Heat. Now, obviously, this is the toughest competition that they've faced yet. Not like the Heat weren't tested on the way to get here, but the Lakers are a different animal. The Lakers are chalk for a reason in this series. And when you talk about the two best players on the floor, all apologies to Jimmy Butler, but the two best players on the floor are both wearing Lakers purple and gold. If the Heat are going to hang around, steal this game, and or win this series, and or cover the spread in a competitive loss tonight, it's going to come down to the role players. And that's something that's been very, very good for Miami throughout the course of the postseason. A big part of the reason why they've been so good in the underdog role is because your Tyler Heroes stepped up. Not just, I mean, obviously the two All-Stars, Butler and Adebayo, but the role players for Miami have consistently been able to spark the team and to give them enough of an edge to win these games. The other thing Miami's done really well, their end game has been tremendous. All three series down the stretch, the Heat played defense and were able to get stops, and they're able to execute their offense against their opponents playing fourth quarter level defense. That's why Miami's here right now. That's why I'm not going to take the over in this game. When we look at who the Lakers have beaten to get here, haven't beaten any teams in the top half of the league. The top 15, I think. One of their three opponents might have been ranked 15th in total defense. But they have not faced an elite defense yet. And the way Miami has played defense during crunch time has been fairly elite. You throw in the fact that, again, Heat catching points, Heat have been real good with extra rest for the season. Lakers not so much. Yeah, we're looking at the Miami side tonight, plus the points in game one of the NBA Finals. Prez?
Nicely done, Teddy. Good to be back. Ralph Michaels joining us, everybody. Want to make sure you guys all have written down 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. We're doing a 15 to 20-minute segment. It's an interactive segment. Stay tuned. I will be tweeting it out a little later. And maybe Teddy will give me my first ever retweet. The guy doesn't help people. Ralph Michaels!
Hey, guys. I was just tweeting out. We'll talk about this on the presidential address later. Name the only NFL team that has had over 400 yards each of the first 3 games. Who do you think of? The Packers, Seattle,
Buffalo.
Dallas?
I'm going with
it's
Buffalo.
the LA Rams. The LA Rams are the only team to have 400 plus yards each of the first 3. No one's even talked about the Rams offense, so sort of a sneaky value there. And I will say this as well. It's the first time since 1989 that a team has had 400 or more yards each of their first 3 games, and they're facing a team that has had under 300 yards each of their first 3 games. That's why the Giants are getting almost 2 touchdowns. All right.
I need to break it right here. We have breaking news right now. We have the first NFL official COVID postponement. The Steelers-Titans game is now off the board and has been postponed. They're going to try to play it on Monday night. I don't know that they're going to be able to, but bad news, obviously. And if you had wagers on that game, they have been canceled.
And if you guys are in the circa elimination pool, do not pick one of those teams because they have to play by Tuesday. So if that game gets canceled, then you pick either team and you lose that. So just stay away from that game if there's any question at all.
Yeah, Ralph, I'm in that circa pool. I'm still going. Carmen and I are a team. We're 3 and we've got through the first 3 weeks. Last week, somebody picked guy picked Baltimore, one guy picked KC. I'm thinking to myself, this is when you're going to use those teams. What the hell's wrong with you? Anyway,
someone picked Jacksonville week 1, Prez, as a 7-point dog, and they won.
Yeah, and I guess what do I know? Trends and angles.
Angle of the day. And guys, I'm going to give you conflicting angles here because I want you to think about both sides. When you're taking angles and trends, you're giving a list of good angles and trends. You're giving a list of bad angles and trends. You're deciding which are more important, and it's helping you make a decision. So I'm giving you purposefully conflicting angles on this game. Navy. You don't think of Navy as a good favorite. You think of Navy as a good dog. 11-0 straight up their last 11 as a favorite. 10-1 ATS. They're, of course, going into an Air Force team that could be without 40 cadets this week. We'll see what happens. But how about this, Teddy? This is one that we've talked about. I may have mentioned it on the show, but it absolutely shocks me. A team that has a double game under your belt advantage. So if you are playing game number 3 against an opponent that is playing their first game of the season, those teams playing a third game, 7, 19, and 2, 27% against the spread since 2017. Now, if you go back from 1980 to 2016, it was actually a 58% positive. I think with the modern age with lines moving offshore to Vegas places so much, we've seen such an overcompensation of those third game to first game opponents that, again, you have a 7, 19, and 2 ATS record for those teams.
So here's my theory on that, Ralph. And I've no data in front of me. It's just a like, why is that turned? Why is that, the 73% angle to bet on the team that hasn't played a game versus the team that's already had two under their belts? And the thing that just pops into my head is that third non-conference game is often a flat spot. You always see favorites come out and look flat in that game because they often play a big game week 1 or week 2 and then have a patsy week 3. And they got conference schedules directly ahead. So you see a lot of these flat spots. Maybe that's why. That's just it coming to my mind. Talking about why is that angle flipped as hard as it has, 19-7 to the team that hasn't played yet. It can only be because their opponent's looking past them.
And it is only the past 3 years. So we've had a lot of hurricane issues and games being postponed. So, perhaps those teams that have been put out by the hurricane have actually rallied to play better, even though they may have had a game canceled or postponed. Again, giving you the information, you decide. Situational play of the day, I'm going with Toronto and Rue, plus $1.25 against Tampa Bay. Rays may be 33-12 versus righties, but they're only 8-8 against lefties like Rue is, with an average line of -151. So if you faded the Rays versus lefties, you've made yourself a profit. Rue with a 2.20 road ERA, Glass now with a 4.85 home ERA. And boy, Rue his last 10 starts, 0 or 1 run 7 times, 2 runs once, and over 2 runs just 1 time in his last 10 starts. So situational play, Toronto plus $1.25. And the Wager Talk, did you know? Well, I wanted to look at some 3-0 situations. So if you blindly just play a 3-0 team versus a non-3-0 team, so it could be 0-3, 1-2, 2-1. Those 3-0 teams are actually 55% against the spread going back to 1989. But again, another but here, 0-5-2 ATS the last 2 years. If you have the 3-0 team at home, you've gone 24-20 ATS, 55%, but 2-5-1 the last 4 years. And a 3-0 home dog, it's only happened a couple times. It's only happened twice since 1989. The Bears, it will happen to this year. So the Bears are only the third team since 1989 to be 3-0, yet be a home dog in game number 4. And the best thing to take out of this is if you're 3-0 at home and you're playing a non-division foe, since 1989, you've gone 20-12-1 against the spread, 63%. That includes the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, and the Kansas City Chiefs. And then just breaking down a couple schedules, 3-0 versus 0-3. Only happened 16 times. The 3-0 team has gone 9-7-3, ATS 56%. 3-0 versus 1-2, 53%. 3-0 versus 1-2, but the 3-0 team is on the road. It did catch my attention. 72% going 13-5-1. That is Seattle. And a 3-0 versus a 2-1 team, 18-4-2, 56%. So basically every number we've looked at since 1989 is 53% average. But those 3-0 teams the last couple years, 0-5-2 and 2-5-1 in those situations we talked about.
And again, the 3-0 teams this year, right now, the Buffalo Bills, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Tennessee Titans, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears, and the Seattle Seahawks. 7 3-0 teams heading into week 4. All of that data applies to the 3-0 teams that Ralph was just talking about.
And Teddy, I'm just going to quickly look up, as we do always, if I look up a 3-0, I'm going to look at how the 0-3 teams have done. Well, the 0-3 teams against non-0-3 teams, 49.5% a toss-up. An 0-3 team at home, 44%, a little lower. And an 0-3 team as a home favorite. It's happened 18 times since 1989. That does apply to Cincinnati. And FYI, if they're a favorite of under 7, they're only 12 ATS. So the two big home favorites that were 0-3 actually covered. Those others in the role of Cincinnati, an 0-3 home favorite of 7 or less, 4-12 ATS. And I just want to point out, why mention if a record is 49.5%? The reason's this. If you're an astute handicapper, you want to know the answer. Even if it's a general 50% question, you now don't have to worry about what if, or I wonder what that occasion is. You know it's a 50% record that you're going to toss up and not worry about affecting your handicap one way or the other if you're using one of those teams.
The 0-3 teams in the NFL, the New York Jets, the Houston Texans, they're home chalk this weekend, the Denver Broncos, the New York Football Giants, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Atlanta Falcons. That does not include the 0-2-1 Philadelphia Eagles and the 0-2-1 Cincinnati Bengals.
Couple of those, Teddy, though, are 0-3 versus 0-3, and that's why they were not on the list.
Ralph Michaels, man, I mean, your information is unbelievable. The guys love you in the, what do you want me to call it, Teddy? Yesterday, you were like, I'm going to fine you $100 every time you say posting form.
Correct. And you just said it. That's another $100. The word is chat.
Okay. Well, thank you for everybody pitching in there. Joe in my right ear, you in my left ear. Ralph, we love having you, dude. What are you doing at 4 p.m. Eastern today, Ralph?
Do. Oh, it's the presidential address.
Yeah, we need a theme song. What do you think?
No, you'll probably get us kicked off the air for copyright laws. So
I know
don't find
it
us
happened last time.
Yeah.
Guys, let's call it a day. Just to make sure everyone remembers, tomorrow 1 p.m. Eastern. Stay with us. The show is going to be extra long tomorrow. We got a segment at the end. We're going to be doing every Thursday. So make sure to keep that in your calendar. Huge thank you to Rob Vino. He came in with last minute notice. Arthur DeCesar, Ralph Michaels, Teddy Covers, and of course, Joe Ranieri for doing all the work in the background and yapping in my ear constantly. We love you all. Teddy, take us home. I'm hungry.
Thanks for watching. Enjoy the games. Good luck tonight. We'll be back again in 23 hours right here on WagerTalk Today.
First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in WagerBucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.